Damn, this Cancer new moon. It's happening on the 5th of July, so it's this Friday. I'm just trying to be real, guys. I don't want to hide away anymore. I've been in isolation for a few years. Since my spiritual awakening in 2021. I used to be a minister. I thought life was something. I thought it's just different than I thought. And I was wrong about a lot of things. And it's just crazy that if you're actually in pursuit of truth, though, for the most part, if you're on that journey, you're going to find that there are a lot of people around you and throughout your life that as you continue to evolve spiritually and become like a higher consciousness, it's not that those people don't love you, it's that they actually can't see, just like I couldn't see before when I was a Christian minister, certain things. And I still believe in God, I believe in Jesus, right? But this spiritual awakening actually started back when I was like 18 years old. I remember I was just like smoking weed in my room, and I started seeing all of these like animals swooshing around me, like spiritually, and it was this like Native American awakening, I want to call it. It was like, and then I had this faith crisis, and I briefly became an atheist when I was like 18. That's when I started coming out of the closet as well. I was completely everything other than being sent to a gay deconversion camp. Everything other than that was done to me. So when I had my spiritual awakening in 2021, that was actually like one of maybe like 3 in my life. So what happened was, after I became an atheist briefly, I started learning about psychology. This was years ago. I'm 32 now. I'm going to be 33 August 30th. So if I was 18, I don't know. Somebody do math for me. This was years ago now, but that was like my second spiritual awakening. I had my first one before that when I was much younger, when a big book opened up in the sky. I saw an open vision when I was like 6 years old, and it was like, this is your destiny, this is your purpose. So I got really serious about my Christianity when I was a kid. Like, I used to watch the Jesus cartoons, and I would just like sit and be like mesmerized. So I loved Jesus. Like, I was a real Christian girl, you know what I mean? Like, I was like super sheltered. I was homeschooled. I just had a very different experience than a lot of my friends, like around the neighborhood. And, you know, people always thought we were weird because we were, you know, I was homeschooled when I was a kid. It's more common now, but back then it wasn't. And so, like, I'd get bullied a lot for things. Then I went for the first time to school. Well, the second time in first grade. Halfway through the year, my parents took me out because I was becoming too worldly. Then they homeschooled me until, this is the Cancer new moon, that's why I'm saying all this. They homeschooled me until 7th grade when I begged to go to school. And then, this is just a brief rundown of my history in case you're curious, because I'm trying to take off my mask, and you know, to let people see the truth about like who I am and what I've been through, so that my words hold more weight, because I do have a lot of experience, more than you'd like expect by how I look and stuff. And I also don't like to open my heart too much because I've been through so much shit. But I want to tell my story so it helps people, especially because in the tarot community, like, we do have crossover between, like, the New Age world and the Christian world. Like, people say amen all the time on my videos. They say, like, Jesus is Lord. I do get some negative comments that are like, leave this divination behind, it's of the devil. But I also do get a lot of good overlap between the Christian world and the New Age world, and, you know, other things involved as well, like paganism and... Okay. I'm just going for it. Why not? You know what I mean? In case you've never seen me before as well, this is the real me, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I do like to have, like, fun. You know what I mean? I'm not of me, you know, whatever. You can see by my life lived. Anyways, so then I went to a private school for a couple years. Then I left in 10th grade, and I for 2 years I was homeschooled from 11th to 12th grade, but I ended up actually finishing in 1 year. I was part of a Becca Academy, which is like a Baptist school in Pensacola, Florida. It was actually like not just easy to graduate. Like, anyways, that's a little bit about my upbringing. So that was like my whole early childhood. But then when I got a little bit older and I started, like, well, before this, I knew, like, I was different than the other kids, not just because I was, like, you know, homeschooled and came from a Christian family, but because of my sexuality. And it was completely... Let's fast forward. I spent years and years and years and years grappling with my sexuality. You know, and then I went through some abusive romantic relationships. I had abusive friendships, and I really mean that for real. Like, it's like crazy shit that you would see on, like, a sitcom on TV. It was almost like cartoonish. I was like, is this really happening? I should write a book. This is crazy, but it's really not funny. But anyways, this is why they made me Leo, so that I could, like, tell the story. So anyways, let's super fast forward. But I just want to give you, like, a snippet of my upbringing, because it's kind of like if you've been really overweight, like I have. I've actually lost about 100 pounds. I used to have a YouTube channel called Whole Wheat Sandwich, where for like 6 years I was part of the weight loss community. I met a lot of awesome people on there. I went through that whole thing right after I graduated from high school. Then I started, like, exploring my sexuality, my family, whatever. I already said it. Everything aside from going to, like, a gay deconversion camp was done there. Then when I then I went back to Christ, whatever. I did my whole, like, I'm back to Jesus thing. Like, I'm sorry I was backslidden, Lord. I went down to the altar call, the front of the revival, for, like, the 10th time in my life. My whole family moved to Florida. I stayed in Connecticut. I had nowhere to live. I was homeless. A man who I consider my grandfather, Poppy, took me into his home. I lived in the top floor for a few years. I was a CNA, so it was kind of like like living with an older man like that wasn't, like, weird for me. It felt, like, similar to, like, what I was doing for work at the time, so God protected me there as well. I got through that whole experience. I started my Missy Sue Gordon ministry in Poppy's house, where I did that for about 3 years. I was an online Christian minister. Before that, I worked with my parents in our ministry for, like, 7 years, and then I started my own in, like, 2019 or 2018. Spent a few years doing that. Then in 2021, I had a spiritual awakening. And when I had my ministry, like, I was doing well for myself financially. A lot of people graciously supported my work. And through that, I took that money because I was like, I didn't want to spend it except for, like, on my rent, because it was, like, people giving to me. It was offerings based. And so I took a lot of that money, and then for 2 years, I studied the stock market and was heavily involved with that, as well as studying marketing at that time, so that I could make my ministry bigger. Like, I was trying to, like, travel the world and speak and, like, do revivals, do the whole thing. I came from, like, the Pentecostal side of the church, where we believe in tongues, signs, wonders, healings, raising from the dead, the whole thing. That was me. That's where I came from. And so when an angel appeared to me in 2021, it spoke to me. I want to say it was audible. It was so it was so scary, like, the feeling, that I actually went and laid under my covers after in bed as a grown woman. And it wasn't scary like, oh, I'm scared, like it was demonic. It was like this holy reverence where I was like, I need to listen to what's being said here. The angel said to me to stop doing prophetic ministry, which is what I did on YouTube with my ministry before. I posted prophetic words. I prayed for, like, demons to come out of people. I baptized people in the Holy Spirit, prayed in tongues, the whole thing. I was that for many, many years. Then in 2021, all of that came back from my second spiritual awakening, when I was, like, smoking weed in my room, and, like, the whole thing happened, and then I became an atheist. It was like all of that was like a big cycle that came through again. And so from that point in 2021, it was like the thing that begun back when I was, like, 18 happened again for my third spiritual awakening, when the angel was like, leave your ministry behind. You're going in a new direction. And I just listened to it, and I announced on my channel, everyone, I'm going on a sabbatical. I need to, like, get clarity on where we go from here. And then after that, I made a second announcement after, like, 2 months, and I said, everyone, I'm just going to turn this into a music channel. So now if you go on YouTube and type in Missy Gordon, it's a green background. That's my ministry channel that I put all the other, like, Jesus videos on private. And so there's only music on there now. So that leads us to now. Right, so it's like, then a couple years ago, I started the Metamistic channel. They showed me to do tarot. I didn't want to do tarot. My first tarot deck that I got, I initiated it. I went through this whole, like, practice with my first tarot teacher. Very spiritual experience. Like, I initiated the deck for 21 days. I did this whole thing with this deck. Something came over me where I was like, I don't want to do this. This is demonic. I don't want to be a part of this. Even though I had already been spiritually awakened. So one by one, I have a video of this. I cut up each and every card of my first tarot deck, and I didn't even want to throw it away in my own house. So I took it to a local gas station and threw it in the trash. Then I had an experience where this, like, dark sort of high priestess figure appeared to me in my bathroom, which I then realized later was actually, like, a higher version of myself. And she, like, comforted me and explained to me that, like, this was part of my path and to just keep an open mind. And so I did. So I bought another tarot deck. This is what really helped change my life, is I found Chris Reck on Minnow Pond Tarot. And there was something about his energy that, like, helped comfort me when it came to tarot. I don't know how to explain it. It did something to me where I started to become more comfortable with tarot, and I started, like, learning more about how to do tarot. This was a few years ago. When I picked up the cards, I had this weird remembrance of when I was a kid, when I was in my grandma's house. I have this deck here. But I remember, like, thumbing through all of her cards, because she always played, like, bridge, and she always had, like, people over her house for different card games and stuff. So she had all of these, like, special cards. Like, they all had different backgrounds on them. She had a bunch of them. She was, like, kind of a collector of, like, playing cards, I'm saying. And I was fascinated by those as a kid. And when I started, like, playing with the cards again, it was almost like I had this flashback to that time. something happened to me where it's like, I don't know if in a past life or something, I was a divinator of some kind. I mean, I've always been hyper spiritual since I was a child. I always would just sit in my room alone like I'm doing now and just rock back and forth, and I would like astral travel. I would like go into different dimensions. All these different people would talk to me. Like, I've traveled to all different like locations all over the world. So this is not new to me, guys, the whole spiritual thing. It's just the cards are new. When I started playing with the cards, something happened where I was like, this is my next path. And so I really, really have taken it seriously the past few years, studying the meanings of the cards, practicing tarot every single day. But really the cards for me are just like to help explain the message that I can get without cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need the cards, but I really like the cards. And so I just wanted to give you guys a brief background on Instagram, you know, because like I talk about this stuff on my show, the Metamystic Show, all the time on YouTube. But in case you've like never seen my YouTube channel before and you don't really know who I am and like what my background is and stuff, I just wanted to like, I don't know, just like tell you if you're curious. Because if you're watching this story and you listen to this much information, I'm grateful you're here. And I just wanted to like let you guys know who I was and how I came to the cards and like my background and stuff, and that, you know, because sometimes you can see somebody online, you think they're like one layer, but there's just like so much to all of us. And I also am just in a period of my life where I want to be like heart-based again. Like, I want to connect with people on a deeper level. Like, I don't want to be alone. I've already lost my family and my old community. Like, happy new moon, Cancer.